the issues that you've brought to the table today, which, by the way, are nuanced from what you have on your responses. So I'm glad that you are able to really share some things. So we all know that communication is important. We know, and I will ask this question. Why is it important? You kind of, you said it, but like, I just want to focus us again. So somebody can repeat, what Sandra and Jason said.
In alignment.
Okay.
I mean, to effectively get things done.
Productivity, right?
Yeah. So nothing moves forward if we're not communicating with one another. And what we want to do is to think about communication. There's 5 mindsets of communication or principles that John Maxwell teaches, and that's what our series is based on. But the first thing is to understand that we want to move from just communicating, because here's the thing. In each one of your stories and intentions that you brought to the table today, and everything that's here on this page, I just printed out the results from the surveys. Everything that's there, you are communicating, but it's not connecting, right? So how do we get it done? In Stephanie's situation, we're talking about it, we're trying, it's not like we're angry and we've gone into silent withdrawal. We're communicating like crazy, but we're not connecting on what needs to move the work forward. So the first sort of principle in the mindset is that we want to move from just communicating to connecting. Now, I could drop right in and just give you practices for connecting. Okay, just like boom, 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 here's 5 practices, go out and do them. But the problem with that is they won't stick, because when all that we have is the practice of it, it's just something else to do. But when we have the mindset of becoming a connector, that will stay with you in every one of your communications. And so that's what we really want to build on, is the mindset of, all right, I'm not just communicating here, but from here forward in my life, in my work, in everything, I'm going to aim for connecting with the other person. Is that making sense? Okay. When you have a principle like that overlays everything else that you do, it becomes who you are. And so the practices will take on more meaning if they're done under this umbrella. So connecting increases your influence in every situation. Communicating happens all the time. Blah, 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 it's just going on. You're communicating to me right now, even though I'm the only one speaking at this moment, but you're all communicating to me. What we need to do is we need to lock in on the connection of it. So the first in green there on your sheet, it does say connecting increases your influence in every situation. Okay. That chart underneath there is a difference between what high achievers do and then what low achievers do. And so we have, I do want to actually kind of work you through this as we're going to use that as our mindset to get back to that which you were just asking about when we came in.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh dear. We're kicking it old school today. Paper and pencil. Yay. So connecting increases your influence in every situation. And what is influence? That's the ability to lead people. And that's all it is. Your kids might influence you, you influence your spouse. It doesn't just happen in the workplace, it happens everywhere. Okay. So let's just look at the difference between high achievers and lower achievers. And this study came, oh dear Gussie, the references in the book, I don't know, it was like 5,000 CEOs and kind of C-suite leaders, those who had reached a real level of success, and who was really having success and who just sort of reached it and was fizzling out, right? So that's why we're looking at this. The first thing under the high achiever side in that first block is, here's what high achievers do, is they care about people as well as profits. So in that first block, we care about the people as well as the profits. If you're going to rise to any level of success in business, you have to care about the profits, because if you don't have profit, you don't have a business, right? But the highest achievers also care about people. So when we think about the connecting mindset, it's all about how I connect with Samantha, right? She's a person. It's not just about seeing Samantha with a dollar sign on her forehead. Well, what can she do for the business today? What level of productivity can she bring? High achievers also, second kind of block down there on the chart, they view their subordinates optimistically. And that's a big one. You don't have to name any place, but have you ever worked in a place where,
Yes.
thank you, and and the yes is a yes to what, Samantha? Yeah, and this goes along, if I'm gonna connect with you, I have to value you first, right? I can't connect. I can communicate to you all day long if I don't value you, but I can't connect with you until I actually value you. So high achievers, they see their subordinates, and look, they're also going to see those over them, those beside them. They just see people optimistically. Okay, so that's a goes along in this mindset we're talking with. The third one is that they seek advice from those around them. And that means those above, below, beside. It's like this 360. I'm open to hearing what you have to say. Okay. The last one under there is they listen well to everyone. They listen well to everyone. So Sandra, I'm going to build on something that you said just a minute ago when we said, well, what is communication? Why is it important? And you said, well, people want to be, seen and heard and all that kind of stuff. And that is so true. Is anybody in the room familiar with Brene Brown? Yes. Okay, that was a pretty lame yes for Brene Brown. Come on. If you're familiar with her, it's more like, yes, okay? If you're not familiar with her, you got to check her out, okay? So she YouTubes all the things. She's, one of Oprah's besties, that kind of thing. Netflix, yes, she's everywhere except where you guys are because y'all don't know of her. But anyway, I do encourage you to check her out. Her name is Brene with a B, Brene. Last name is Brown. She's a researcher out of the University of Texas, and what she researches is things like grief, shame, blame, guilt, all the big fun topics. That's her stick. Okay. You've never heard those miserable topics so elevated as when she talks about them. But here's the thing I want to relate back to what Sandra said, is that across socioeconomic statuses, sexes, religions, cultures, money, it doesn't matter. There's a core in every human being, and every human being wants these three things. There's no blanks on your page for this, but based on what you said this morning, you guys got to hear this. So write this in your margin. What every human being wants is to be seen, heard, and know they matter. If you're going to connect with people, which you've already agreed to is important, and you're here because you want to do it better, you want to do better than just communicating, you want connection that works, you have to see people, you have to hear them, and you have to let them know that they matter. That's the foundation for all connection, okay? So then let's talk about what you guys just mentioned to me, okay? Stephanie, you brought up, I don't get what I need from her. And yet you guys are talking about these things. But she meets the client and she has to come back in and present to you her findings so you can get it moving, right? I love the way you said, I don't get what I need from her, because everybody has their own individual personalized style for communicating and for working. Have you guys ever taken something like a DISC assessment? Yes, some familiarity with that. There's all kinds out there, but you answer like these 30 quick questions with multiple choice answers, and then suddenly you get this report back and it says, hi, this is what you need. This is how you communicate. Ashley, is that ringing any bells? Not at all. Yeah, yes.
You're an S or an E. What's the other one?
Leadership styles.
Oh, leadership, never mind.
Leadership, probably very similar though. It's that same sort of thing. You're discovering how you're wired. So there's, we could go on for days, right? Like I said, we'll go till lunch, but there is a wiring within you. And part of that is your core self. And under pressure, you always, you revert back to that wiring. So something like a DISC, a Myers-Briggs, whatever assessment it is that you take, that gives you what you're wiring. But what it does, Stephanie, to your point is, it will show you that you communicate in one way, and this gal, your coworker, communicates in a different way. And when that happens, what you're looking for, she may or may not be saying, but it's like this, right? You guys are just missing each other. You're not making the connection there. So how do we improve that, right? On it would be great if you both took a DISC assessment, because then it takes all of the pressure off of, I need you, you won't say, you don't ever tell me, that feeling. And we come down to what's on paper and we say, oh, your communication style is, and we can look at the traits of that. You like to talk. Some people love the whole, if you came into their office and you don't ask, hey, how's your cat doing? Right? They're going to be so offended and not want to even do business with you anymore. Another style, if you were to come in and say, hey, how's your cat doing? And be like, why are you in here? Get out of here. You would be nothing but irritating to them. And so when we look at these different styles, we can take it out of, well, you're like that, you don't ever tell me what I need. And, out of that and onto the page and just go, oh, wow. So this is the difference in the way that we communicate. So I'll try to take on more of your style. You try to take on a little bit more of my style, and let's see if we can bring that to connection. Bless you. So it's not that you're at odds, but the work is stalled. Some of that can be because we're just not making the connection the way that you need the information. If it were tweaked somewhat, if you could have a conversation with her that said, here's 3 things I need to hear. So here's the thing, right? We don't want to have the same conversation we've been having. We want to have a different conversation. So this conversation is one of asking, right? Tell me about what it looks like. If I need to get, what would your best way of getting that from a client be? So now, instead of saying, here's what I need, I really, like you, right? Often we go into the telling mode, but we'll learn so much more when we're in that asking mode. And so for you, crafting a couple of really good questions that would be open-ended will change that conversation for you. So, and look at that conversation as an asking conversation. If I need this to move the project forward, what do you think would be the best way for us to get it? That's a good fit for you, right? And there's 2 skill sets. Client-facing people need this skill set, and project management people need this skill set. And so when you guys come to talk together, what you have to do is find this way to connect to each other, because you're both predominantly, you work differently, to Allie's point. Okay, and so you're trying to create a common language, which is going to happen with questioning. Okay. Okay. Let's talk this for a minute. Allie, you mentioned that you have to deal with the product that you deal with. You have to pull together meetings for high-level executives. The product you said is tens of thousands of dollars. You called it a high-end product, right? And we drilled down a little bit into where does sort of the bump in the road happen, which is more with the meetings not going the way the pre-call went, right? So one of the things, well, there's 2 things I want to mention to you. One is the perception of what is high level financially is just perception. And this is for everybody in the room, okay, and on Zoom, okay? Is 10,000 a lot? Okay, depends on who you are, right?
I would love it if someone cut my nonprofit a $10,000 check.
Woo-hoo, right?
It's a product where several people are deciding for hundreds. So
Okay.
we're having to make a big decision.
Okay, is that a big decision? Okay. Is there someone else who could say, oh, I'm deciding for several hundred people? Yeah, not big. Okay, all right. The point here is, let me just draw on the back of this piece of paper. Is this a big box? Okay. Is this a big box? Okay. Is this a big box? Right?
Yeah.
This is the law of relativity. And this law can change your life. Okay. The law of relativity tells us that everything just is until we bring story to it. Okay. Everything just is until we bring our story to it. So in the case of the decision makers, it's $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. Is that a lot? I don't know. Relative to what? Well, they're making decisions for hundreds of people. Is that a lot? Well, I don't know. Is it? Compared to what? Okay. So one of the things that we use the law of relativity to is to take emotionality out of everything. Now, that doesn't mean that we go for bland lifestyle by any stretch, because hey, some things I think are amazing. Okay. And I'm going to get all kind of excited about those things. But when we come to communicating with others, one of the things, and not just to say what you said, but there were some other responses on here that were like, I need more confidence. I need comfort level. When I talk to executives who are a higher position than I am, I'm fumbling for words. There was some biases towards 20-year-olds already have their minds made up. Okay. And then people who are older than I am, know how to, so that's why we're going down this road a little bit more in relation to what you said. Okay. So when we hold everything out and we look at it as just, well, you're a 20-year-old. Oh, it's $50,000. Huh. You're a CEO of a 1,000-person corporation. Huh. Right. Look, it just is. And so when we think about the scheduling that comes into play as well, yeah, we need to have a meeting because we need to move the project forward. I want to respect and value that you're busy, but everybody is. Is this meeting worth the time spent coming together on it? And if the answer to that is yes, then everybody, say it differently. Your expectation then is come because the meeting is worthy of the time. Okay. And so if you can approach your communication with that, I value you, but I value me. I'm bringing to you something that's of importance to our company. We have already established that this account or this project is an important project for us, and therefore we are all going to be on board with it. It's kind of like assuming positive intent from people, seeing people for who they are, but not allowing them to become more than what you are. You've been tasked to do a job. And so you're there to do that job, to talk with those people and to bring them together. And if you go a little step further than that, your job is really to make them look good, to make the company look good, to make everybody around you on your team to look good. And so that's everybody's job, not just those who aren't the CEO. Because here's what we know. Zig Ziglar teaches this principle. If you help everybody get what they want, if you help enough other people get what they want, you will always get what you want. So if you want to climb in the corporation, help everybody around you look good. You want to connect, help everybody around you look good, right? You want to move up, help other people to look good, because what does every other person want? To be seen, heard, know they matter. So if you approach everybody with that value, right? With this meeting coming up, this project's going to do X, Y, Z for you. That's kind of going back to what you were asking about, the why behind, right? Jason, you also had asked about urgency and how do we develop urgency and getting people to understand, right? How do we do that? We make it all about them. How's this going to help you? Getting really clear on their success first will help tremendously in connecting with other people. Samantha, to your point, everybody's somewhere else and we got to have a meeting for everything, right? Practical stuff, get some solutions in place, Calendly, everybody on all the things, right? But back to something that Allie's doing, the meeting before the meeting, always have the meeting before the meeting, okay? Allie, I would invite you also to look at the meeting that you're having before the meeting and to structure your questions with a little bit more intent. Dig a little deeper in the pre-meeting so that the meeting, you know what to expect, right? So a little bit more questioning than telling. That helps everybody in the room, everybody on Zoom. Questions before tell, questions before tell, questions before tell. What's the outcome you're looking for from this project? What's the outcome you're looking for from this meeting? What would success look like when you get off the Zoom call with us? What do you need from this meeting in order to do your job better? How can I support you to be better at what you're doing? All about them, right? These are all the connection principles. To the same point of, and this is where we'll kind of wrap everything up, right? Because I'm like looking at the time. Kind of to the point with Stephanie though, and you have these different work styles and you're like, yeah, we're on Teams, but some people don't do that, right? We can't use the chat function because some people don't do that. That is classic. We communicate in different ways with one another. It's classic communication styles, right? So again, a disc assessment would be amazing, right? For all the people that you work with, bring them together, do it and understand how each other. But without that, you can tell a lot because you said some people won't use that. Okay, so you make a list, right? If it's Mary, John, Frank, or Sally, they're not going to be looking at the chat function. Those people are on the telephone call list, right? But then over here, Allie and Jason and Stephanie, they're going to use the chat. So I know I can get quick answers back and forth from them. That's a matter of knowing how people communicate, what their work styles are. And you can tell that. There's some people I just know, it's like customers, and even with salespeople, I'll ask, well, what have you done to reach out? Well, I've emailed them 6 times. Well, guess what? They don't freaking communicate via email. Pick up your daggone phone. Try a text. Everybody has a different communication style. So some things that could maybe speed up some of your work process is to really look at and think about how do they communicate and address them in the way that they do it. Again, it's all about others. So if I know Sally's going to need a phone call and I really don't want to call her because she's one of those, I-type personalities, and Sally's going to be like, how's your mom and them? I don't care to tell you that, Sally. I just want the report. Because that's my communication style. I'm just very direct like that. But if I know that about her, even from just experiencing her, I can connect better with her. And I can say to myself, all right, you're going to have to call Sally about this. So mark out 5 minutes, extra 10 minutes on the calendar. Hey, Sally, how you doing? How's your mom and them, right? Where's the report? Can we talk about the da-da-da-da-da? Because you have to do that. Right. So just the awareness of the difference in how people communicate and then how you can best tap into their styles could help you to grab back some of your time and not have to be so meeting. Another kind of just proactive step to that is to say, we're going to meet every Friday, like for 15 minutes, put on your calendar, and then start stacking stuff. Right. It changes the way that you have to work. but it gives that touch base, especially when you have remote teams. People still need to feel connected to one another. Again, that word connecting, become a connector of the people who are around you. Okay. Okay. So like I said, based on what you guys asked about, here, this goes out the window, no problem. The back page of this Connectors Connect on Common Ground, I give you 8 bullet points about how you can develop common ground with people. So you have some, how to get to that. Let me give you, I think the others you can probably, first page, you're good. Yes. Let me take you to page 2 real quick and just give you the answers, and then we'll wrap from there. So the top of page 2, we're talking about ways to increase your influence when you're working with people one-on-one. And so at the close of a conversation, ask if there's anything you can do to help the other person. And then the words that go in the blank are follow through. Follow through. Don't leave people hanging. Okay. Increasing your influence within a group. Look for ways to compliment people in the group for their ideas and their actions. Become intentional about, because remember, the mindset that we're going for is to be a connector, and that will color everything we do. So under increasing influence with a group, the first bullet there, compliment people in the group for their ideas and actions. The second one is look for ways to add value to the people in the group. That's basically what we've talked through today. In part 2, connectors connect on, and it's common ground. And then we give you the ways to build that common ground. So if you want to go back to the first page, we might as well, because here we go, right? Underneath our chart, where we filled in the high achiever side, we said, increasing influence one-on-one. Talk more about the other person is what goes on that blank. Talk more about the other person and less about yourself. Remember, people want to be seen, heard, and know they matter. So how can we see, hear, and let people know they matter if we do less talking and let them talk more about themselves? And that, you guys, that's a huge practice. If you can listen to people, people will think you are amazing. Somebody on the sheets asked about going to networking events. How do I fill in and network with people and fluff and that kind of thing? The next bullet point is for you, if that was your question. Prepare 2 or 3 questions you can ask someone before a meeting or social gathering. And so you have 2 spaces for questions there. And it's select the questions ahead of time. And then those are the 2 you just sort of keep in your pocket. And when you go to a networking event, everybody you meet, you can ask those 2 questions too. But don't ask them things like, what's your favorite color? Who cares? And you won't remember that later, right? But think about what can you ask that will help you to develop a meaningful connection. So when we came in the room today and we were talking, and LinkedIn came up, right? Now, this isn't a question that I have stashed because I feel like I'm pretty interested in people and able to communicate before and after events. But it happened, we got onto TikTok, and then Ashley shared about that she enjoys seeing the herbs, how people use herbs for cooking and for medicines and things like that, right? And so now I'm like, I will know that and remember that about her. It started from the connection of TikTok, but it went into something that's important to her. So when I see her again, Ashley, herbs, got it, right? And then you heard me even at the beginning of our session today, I made a reference to that as well, right? I was like, oh yeah, you need an herb for that, because she was talking about her voice, right? That's where that came from. So we had done that connecting prior to. So come up with a couple questions. And then in the last, on the first page, bring something of value to give to someone when you get together. What does that mean to bring something of value? Bring a quote, bring a book, bring a CD, bring a recommendation for a podcast if you're going to meet with someone. And it's someone who you want to further this connection with. Maybe it's someone who is above you on the food chain at work, and you have an opportunity to be in a meeting with them. Think before you go into that meeting, what would make their day? It's all about the other person, right? So from our position, we want to look at the other person and always be thinking about them. So Take these with you. You have some information. The low achievers, we didn't fill in that side, but we have to go. So sorry. This information was based on these responses, and these responses changed when we got into the room. So isn't that interesting? But what's important to me is that you have something to take out with you. Okay. And so whatever your intention was when you came into the room, think about, do I have something to work with that? And if you need the generic is the mindset of connection, and ask. That will connect you better than anything. Because when you know what's important to others, then you can serve in that way, right? And when you're serving them, like Zig says, you get everything you could ever need. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm super happy to stay if you want to talk about individual things. This is an offering that I have. It's a year-long program, but it's super flexible. It's done via audio recordings and then daily emails. The recording lessons happen once a week. You see the 6 pillars, what we cover: communication, leadership, finance, well-being, relationships, all the things that make for a growing young professional. It's super inexpensive. It's a one-time fee, and then you have 365 days. And on every Friday, I come on and I do a short lesson, not like this one. It's like 30 minutes because there's not a back and forth. So it's really a 30-minute lesson in those 6 topics. And then you have access to them recorded. You can pull them, re-listen, listen when it's good for you. You don't have to be online to listen to them at that time. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. That's an offering that I have out right now. And then the daily memes, they're just a picture with a positive something, and they just show up in your email every day, just to kind of get your mindset right and keep you in, keep you jazzed, right? We fill your cup. You have lessons, and then an opportunity for a community, but that's optional. You do community if you want to now. So just take that if you have questions. The other reason I gave this to you is because it has my contact information at the bottom. If you have questions about the DISC assessment we talked about today, if you just want to talk a little bit more about your specific connection situation, that's how you get me. I recognized I didn't have any business cards in my bag. I was like, but I have flyers. So there's my contact information. Thanks, you guys. Jason, thank you for being here and for talking nicely about me. You guys, we will wrap it up. Caroline, nobody online, nothing. Okay, cool. All right.
Send out information after the fact.
Okay, cool. So again, sorry that we didn't just go right by the lesson, but I felt like maybe hearing you and addressing your things was more important. So, okay. And it's 9:26 now, so. Oh yeah, woo, go Cox. Now, does that make me good or bad? No. See, it's all relative, right? It's how you see it. Oh, perfect. Okay. All that to say LinkedIn, I got to get on that LinkedIn, right? For sure. Okay. Everybody have a great day. For those of you who are online, and of course, you guys in the room as well. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Hope to see you again at another one. And yay, have an awesome day, and maybe see you guys in October for the